Final Stop Brasil. Chapter 3. Caught in the Trap. Saturday morning. I am still tempted to forget the bedquilts in the hotel. But out of fear for Michael, I reject this idea again. I take a taxi to the airport, where I pack my luggage on a trolley and do my best to appear outwardly calm. Internally, my nerves are strained to a tearing point. I am joining the line for the business class check-in. When my turn comes and my luggage is already partially loaded onto the conveyor belt, I hear a man's voice beside me, muttering something unintelligible, which I understand as Polish. I answer, no, I'm not Polish. Then this, as I only now register, unsympathetic man repeats what he had said before, and this time I understand clearly. Police, can I ask to examine your luggage? This cannot be true. I just think, as everything around me begins to turn. But I pull myself together with all the strength and struggle to maintain my composure. As calmly as possible, I say, please. The lady from the check-in desk gives me a strange look and hands out my suitcase to the police. He now speaks low, but with a threatening undertone. I've been waiting for you. We received a phone call and were informed when you want to leave, with an accurate description of you. He now has loaded all my luggage back onto the baggage car and asked me to follow him. We enter a room where the policeman opens the suitcase again and immediately, with a knife, cuts open the package of sheets. For me, it's all so absurd, so surreal, as if I would watch a bad movie. It is as if I stand by and watch it, and it's not really concerning me. The cocaine trickles out of the box, and I'm being placed in front to take photographs. Then handcuffs are clicking. I let everything happen to me totally passively in my state of shock. Then something in my head says to me, you must do something. Do not let it happen just like that. So I explain that I knew nothing of the cocaine. Meanwhile, I'm surrounded by policemen. Also, I notice a woman, a cleaner or so, which, as they tell me, is acting as a witness. Other female travelers are led into the room and their luggage is superficially examined, but everyone is sent to go. It occurs to me, one of these women who has an almost empty suitcase, the police touching up the bottom, changing looks, whispering to each other, and after asking the woman whether she always travels with an empty suitcase, they send her away also. It is obvious that she was hiding drugs in the bottom of the suitcase. But the policemen are only focused on me and the rest of my luggage. Finally, they give me a list of my personal belongings to be signed. 400 euro, 30 reals, a digital camera and a mobile phone. I am much too shocked to realize this is only a small part of my luggage. When my mind finally registers this is not a bad movie or a horrible nightmare, but the bitter reality, I burst into sobs of despair. But it doesn't help me. I am led in handcuffs through the lobby of the airport to the police car, feeling the glances of other passengers, and I feel so humiliated as never before in my life. This so-called witness is sitting with me in the back seat of the police car, and it starts a terrible race back into the city. The policeman who arrested me and introduced himself as Fabio Lucetti alternates between speed and full braking intervals, pressing through the heavy traffic, changing lanes in distances of centimeter to the other cars. My pleading to drive a little slower is leading nowhere. On the contrary, he seems to have fun because I get sick. His companion in the passenger seat seems to have a little pity with me and tries to distract me with conversation. After a seemingly endless drive, Fabio parks in front of a building with the word Dinaki written in capital letters at the front. The Drug Enforcement of Sao Paulo. Fabio signals me to get out. And although I can hardly move my hands because of the handcuffs, he forces me to carry my suitcase and my other bags, driving me on to go faster. His colleague takes the luggage away from me and says in an angry tone to Fabio, "Don't you see that you cannot carry it?" In the office, Fabio forces me to crouch down on the floor and chains me now with the handcuffs to a radiator pipe. That way, I spend several hours in endless interrogations, in which I lose all sense of time. During these interrogations, I stick by my statement that I knew nothing of the cocaine. When asked who gave me the sheets, I can't think of nothing better, so I lie. A Venezuelan named Carlos. Fabio finally leaves the office, and another policeman takes off the handcuffs, pointing to a chair. When Fabio returns to the office, he rattles off why I'm sitting on a chair and forces me again to sit on the floor. Again he chains me to the radiator pipe. Another policeman then enters the office to confirm that it is indeed cocaine. Fabio comments, "Oh, it doesn't look good for you. 2 kilograms of pure cocaine. For that you go at least 5 years in jail." I cry until I have no more tears. And at some point, I'm just stubborn and say nothing anymore. I feel hungry and thirsty. So I ask for the can of Coca-Cola in my backpack, in where I also have biscuits and chocolates for the trip. Fabio takes the things out of my backpack, but doesn't give them to me, but to the so-called witness, who sits on a chair on the other side of the room, and then I watch her eat my cookies, drink my Coca-Cola. Fabio apparently has much fun. He takes off my handcuffs now, and I am ushered into another room, where my fingerprints are taken. Then I am led back into the first office. Here they allow me now to stay without handcuffs and sit on a chair. Fabio is not in the room, and I see through the window that it has already gone dark outside. A policeman is fiddling with my phone, and I risk asking him to make a phone call with it. At first he refuses, but then I beg him again, explaining that I will speak Spanish slowly so he can understand everything. He actually hands me the phone, but he wants to know who I call. I tell him I want to call and inform my boyfriend in Spain. Under these circumstances, it is not possible for me to speak with Michael, and it would break my heart to give him this terrible news. After only one dial tone, Luciano answers, as if he had been waiting for my call. When I hear his voice, I once again burst into sobs and desperately only stammer incoherent sentences like, "I've been arrested, I have a big problem, and you should call Michael." Totally shocked, Luciano asks where I am and when I'm coming back. It makes no more sense to continue lying. I am in Sao Paulo in Brazil. At first follows only a, for me, endless long silence, but then Luciano asks once again when I am coming back. "Never again," I'm sobbing loudly. The policeman gives me a sign I should come to an end. "Ti amo tanto, Luciano," I'm crying. He answers, "Ti amo también. Me voy a esperar para ti." The fact that he knows now about my lie, but even so he doesn't turn his back on me, gives me back a little bit of strength. I'm a bit calmer as Fabio reappears again, taking me once more into another office. There he places a document before me and wants me to sign it. May I read it first? I asked. He's grinning sarcastic because he assumes that I don't understand Portuguese anyway. But Portuguese is in letters so much similar to the Spanish language that I do very well understand the meaning of this document. I will not contact German consulate or members of my family, nor will I ask for any assistance by a lawyer. I am not going to sign this, I refuse indignantly. Whereupon Fabio places himself in front of me and threatens me with his raised fist to beat me if I don't sign. This gesture and his shouting make me afraid, therefore I sign this and all other following documents without even reading any more. Afterwards, I am led back to the first office, where I am paradoxically given the duty telephone with the comment that I have 5 minutes to talk to the German consulate. A secretary answers the call and lets me know the consul is not in the house and I should calm down because I'm crying again. There would be nothing at the moment to do about my situation, and I have to get used to the idea that I will spend the next 4 years in prison. This statement makes me break down again, so I can hardly answer her question which family members should be informed. I only give her the telephone number and name of my daughter. Nobody else? She wants to know. No, nobody else shall be informed. She is still giving me the information. The consul will almost probably come to see me on Monday. Afterwards, Fabio leads me in the basement of the building to a cell, which is already occupied by a young man. There Fabio takes everything off me which still remains to be taken from me. My rings, my bracelet, earrings, and even the belt I recently purchased together with the jeans I'm wearing. I am totally aware that I will never see those things again. Fabio wants the young man to treat me as a woman with respect. He is exactly the third person to state this. Then the heavy cell door falls shut, and I'm alone with this young man in this dirty, stinking cell. I am trembling with cold and fear and desperation. The young man lying under a filthy blanket offers me to warm up myself a bit next to him. He asks if I was also arrested for drugs. I just nod with my head. I don't know whether I can trust him. Therefore, I stick to my version, as he wants to know more about it. That the set of quilts were gifts of a guy called Carlos from Venezuela. The young man had been arrested for a few grams of marijuana. What is going to happen to us? I asked uncertainly. He doesn't know either. I feel a strong pressure of my bladder and need to go to the toilet urgently. I call to the guards, but nothing happens. Trying to help me, the young man also begins to call the guards and rattles at the bars, but nobody appears. I can hardly stand it any more, as suddenly a guard is appearing. The young man explains that I urgently need to pee. The guard is murmuring something like, "Get the key," but he never returns. Finally, I grab another dirty blanket lying around in the corner of the cell, hold it as a shield in front of me, and apologize for my behavior. Then I let down my jeans and pants to pee in the corner of the cell. Exhausted and desperate, I lie down next to the young man and actually doze off a little. But this, the most horrible day of my entire life, is far from over yet. At some point, the rattling of keys is penetrating my ears, and the door of the cell is opened. The policeman, presumably the night shift, asked us to get up and put handcuffs on both of us again. They are older men, and compared to Fabio, almost likable. They are taking us outside to the parking place, pointing to a police car we should climb in. It seems to be fairly late because the building and parking place are practically empty. But then these two policemen start handling with a torchlight in front of the car. The reason for this we learn the very next moment. The car has a flat tire, and neither of these two police officers is able to change it. Thus the young man offers to change it for them. His handcuffs are being removed and he begins his work. At any other time, I would have laughed about this grotesque situation. I'm also allowed to come out of the car, and for a brief moment I'm thinking about escape. But where to? Without documents, without anything. A stray dog comes running directly at me. I kneel down to caress it, which it seems to like a lot. It reminds me of Max. What will happen to Max? Who is going to pick him up from the kennel? My thoughts are interrupted by the older of the two policemen, who suddenly stands behind me. You like dogs, don't you? Again bursting into tears, I tell him about Max. Upon this he asks me almost fatherly, "But why did you drop yourself into this situation, girl?" But now the young man is interfering to explain. "She didn't do anything. That guy gave her the things as a gift." The tire is changed, and we all climb back into the car. At first, we are taken to the Forensic Institute, where we are superficially examined. I am being asked if I was beaten or mistreated by the police. Physically, no, I answer truly. We continue on our way to a men's prison, where the young man is taken to. We wish each other good luck before he leaves. The journey goes on, and we pass through a so-called red light district. Many prostitutes are standing on the street. The car stops, and the cop on the passenger side gets out to talk to some of them. For me, it looks like some transactions are taking place. We continue, and after some time, we stop in front of a courthouse. This time the driver comes off, enters the building, and returns after a while with a document in his hand. The whole time I asked myself again and again, why me? How could all this happen? What is going to happen to me? I feel terribly cold. It is bitterly cold, and as we are continuing the drive, I ask the policeman to close the windows. But they don't even react. Suddenly I recognize where we are. Avenida Paulista. At the end of the street we are turning right. How well do I know this way? Consolação. And exactly there I see him standing outside in front of the restaurant, Jefferson. Quietly I cried to myself, it's over. Everything. Jefferson, Luciano, over. Forever. The next thing I register, we are on a highway or something like that. I can see on a direction sign in front of us, Rio de Janeiro, and become more scared. Where are they taking me? After an endlessly long journey, we turn somewhere to the right, drive through what seems like a small town, and stop finally in front of a building. We have arrived, those two letting me know. The driver comes off and opens my door. We step into the building. I am ushered into an office where the policeman passes me by with the words, "Good luck. Hope it won't all be too bad for you." An older woman asks me shortly some questions, signals me to take off my shoes, and then I'm being led into hell.